Hello, everyone entering the room.
Hello.
Hi, Whitney.
Hi. Happy Wednesday.
Yay.
As normal. Probably just give it maybe less than a minute and we'll get started. Please note, you probably heard it. Typical government meeting, when you entered, it probably said this meeting is being recorded. That is in the future, if we want to relay this message, that we can do that again. And if you have any issues, just let us know. Actually, you can let Sandra Stain know, who's on this call, an ABHR attorney. So Sandra will be happy to help. And if you cannot see a blue screen with a title on it, speak now, please, because that's what we're going to get started with. And you are all currently muted, as you can tell. And that is so serving as host, what we will do is we're going to keep it muted except for the speakers during the meeting, during like the little presentation parts. And then when we're done with that, to not have 60 something people all trying to talk at once, you'll either do it, if you know how to do the cool Zoom feature of raising your hand on Zoom, you can do that, or you can wave at me or shoot me a chat, and I'll ask you to unmute. And that's how we can go about doing that. So besides that, do we have any prelim questions? And if you have any questions during it, please don't use the chat. If you could try to hold on to those until the very end, we'll go through whatever we need to. So I am going to go ahead and get us started because we have a very good meeting planned for us right now. So hi everyone, my name is Whitney Milberger. I am here at BGE and I'm the Conservation and Communications Manager. And thank you all for being here. Along with the North Fort Bend team here, we have Sandra Stain, who's with ABHR, and we also have Julia Frankovich, who's an engineer with the authority, and Miriam Valdez, who is our public relations coordinator. She's new. Welcome, Miriam. Welcome to the rodeo. So what we're going to do today is the intent for today is to just super brief NFBWA overview and where we are with conservation. And then we have Joy Bass with us, who is our communications consultant with Mighty Citizen. She's going to go over this super cool toolkit we have made for all of our directors, consultants within the authority. And then we have Richard Stoley with Fort Bend County Mud number 146. And the thunder came right with me announcing you, Richard. He's going to talk about innovative thinking and what the district has done, some cool stuff, and thinking about how they're approaching the conservation program. And then we have Missy Stedman with Infomark. She is here. She has just been a joy of fun this year and showing me how innovative and great, coming from an operator standpoint, they've been going about doing this. So everyone's sharing their experience there. Open it up for Q&A. And then we're all golden, good to go, conservation for life. So we'll go ahead and we'll just get started. I want to touch briefly on subsidence. So the word subsidence, it literally means that the ground is sinking. In the 1920s, the oil and gas were taken off and the ship channel was broadening. And with that came a lot of people. And these were people that used water. The only source of that water at that time for the new people was the groundwater. And so with more people, those groundwater levels, they begin to recede. When water is removed from clay soils, it makes the particles compact. When you're removing very large amounts of water, it makes them irreversible. Therefore, the land began to sink and areas near Galveston subsided near 10 feet. And studies started to show, if you can see the one picture on the left, The dark red is where you're seeing, that 10 feet right there. Studies were showing the impact it was already having across the region. Ultimately, we can say, well, why does this matter? Why do we care? The area being one huge potential sinkhole. We care here because of flooding. And as we've seen the sporadic weather patterns, it's had severe consequences over the past decades. And these patterns are becoming more and more dramatic. And so that is what subsidence is. And that's why it's very, very important to know about that in our area. So how did this all come about? So in 1975, the legislature created the Harris-Galveston Subsidence District because it saw, oh no, we already have a whole development called Brownwood that's gone because of this. Then they saw how it was happening in the rest of the region. That's when in '89, they created the Fort Bend Subsidence District. Fort Bend starts doing its research and seeing what kinds of effects does it have and what do we need to do. That's when they adopted their regulatory plan in 2003. With that, the legislature came and created the North Fort Bend Water Authority in 2005. So, North Fort Bend Water Authority, why is it important? If on this little picture I have here, there's a purple area. We're in Area A, and so that is where we are. So why do we have these regional water authorities? What we say is we serve as an umbrella for the whole community. So if every one of these entities, all of this area that are impacted, if each one of them had to go and find their own infrastructure, their own monies, and then find the water, which is not close, and the Brazos River water rights that were taken up years ago, the cost would be exponential. It wouldn't be possible. I envision lots of Legos just underground and things not working. And I'm not an engineer, so that's how I see things. So with the subsidence district, it says, hey, to make this work, you have to come up with your plan. You have to do a 30% reduction off groundwater by 2014. We did that. And then by 2025, you have to be off by 60%. So they made that, so we're like, okay, we can do this. So our three core missions are to provide, conserve, educate. We provide a supply of clean water for generations to come. Biggest, they're all three big. Conserve our groundwater and try to teach about preserving water for future generations. And then to educate people on the value of water, where it comes from, importance. I mean, people are coming here still, there's a lot more, and they're going to need water. And hopefully we'll have it if we want to keep going. So, of that, you had conservation. Just a little timeline of where we are. So we were created in 2005. Right around then, they started public outreach in 2006. They were sending out these things called mailers. Have a new employee who didn't know what really a whole mailing thing was. I'm old. So that started in '06. Then shortly therefore came in education with the schools. We did our fancy mobile learning lab. Then we started the Wise Guys. Then if y'all know Larry, our mascot, he came around. And then we started our first conservation program in 2016. And that was called Larry's Toolbox Water Conservation Program. That same year, we started our Reclaim Water program. And so this is just here to show you we're making strides. We keep growing bigger and better as we go along. So we started Larry's Toolbox in 2016. It went 5 years. Wonderful. But after any amount of time in a program, it's time to look at it, reassess what's working, what's not, what can we do better. So we did stakeholder surveys. We had many meetings and went over what's going on. And we came out with it with 3 new goals. And WPCP is Water Provider Conservation Program. Our 3 goals are to increase board of director, all of you, or city councilman involvement increase water savings, get some good meaty initiatives that actually have larger potential, and also to increase community awareness. So we're the wholesale water distributor. With that, it's very difficult for us to reach all hundreds of thousands of people in our community. So what we're hoping is that we can serve as a funnel. It then goes to the HOAs, to the MUDs, to the community, and then they can help get to all the residents. We're still going to supply a bunch of stuff, but we need help because there's so many people and so much social media. I don't know half of them. So, but I can do mailers. So those were the 3 goals. The similarities from the toolbox, still voluntary. It is an entity's choice that they want to be in it. We're still available to help, and the incentivized rate upon successful completion is still 10 cents per 1,000 gallons. The difference is program name. A lot of people couldn't realize why we had a conservation program named Larry, and how was this whole thing a toolbox. So sort of rework that. You no longer have to tell us, hey, by December 31st, hey, we're going to be in this program, because what we're doing now is putting more into the MUD's hands. In the city's hands. You know, we started with conservation a long time ago and brought it to this area, and it is our hopes that others will take it on now, and we'll still be here to do whatever we can. The durations of some of the initiatives are different, and there are no more points anymore with this program. And this brings us to me moving on and getting to the good topics here. On our core initiatives in this new program, there are 3 things you must do to be eligible to be considered in the cool group of the program. And that is to form a conservation committee, hence you. And we really appreciate y'all coming today. Also, all districts were already doing this, setting high water user notifications. With that, having your council committees sort of be like, who do we want to send it to? Do we just, in the past, we were just sending it to the top 5 people. Do we want to think more about why are we doing things? With that, like I said earlier, we need help spreading conservation information. It's not just those 2 sentences on a bill anymore. There's a lot of outlets out there. So, and then big picture, there's examples that you can pick from. So that's me. Ultimately, we're happy you're here. We're going to show you some resources, and I'm going to quit talking. And now I'm going to go ahead and ask Joy with Mighty Citizen. Joy, will you please tell us a little bit about this wonderful toolkit? This is a toolkit, but it's not the toolbox. So this is only
right. It's a little bit different. So when Mighty Citizen first began its work with the NFBWA, we actually conducted a focus group of MUD directors and consultants to really get your feedback on what you needed from the NFBWA to be more successful with communicating with residents. And we heard a lot from you all that it's challenging to communicate with residents, that, you know, some folks are on social media, that you would enjoy having more things for your websites. So that guidance really helped us to put together this toolkit. So I'm going to walk you through now and just kind of go through the pieces of it and explain how you can use them to spread the word. So this first section here is full of general information about the NFBWA. And this kit is really designed to help you educate the public about the NFBWA. We know that residents often ask you very difficult questions or things that you may not know exactly how to answer, especially when it comes to fees and bills. And so this toolkit will sort of give you the right responses and also the right people within the NFBWA to forward residents to once you need to get someone to contact them. So first of all, we try to make it really easy for folks to find us online. So you see the website here, you see the social media channels represented as well. The NFBWA's residents are typically on Facebook and Instagram, and we like to communicate with consultants and professionals like you on LinkedIn. But feel free to share any of these with any of the residents in your area so that they can follow along and get the information that they need directly from the NFBWA. And so here you'll see some important website links. So I imagine that, like the NFBWA, you all also get emails from folks saying, what's this bill on my, what's this fee on my water bill? What does that mean? What does subsidence mean? So here we've just put together some links to make it really easy for you to cut and paste those links, send them out. So you don't have to really rack your brain and figure out, okay, how do I explain these really complex, difficult things to folks? They can go straight to the NFBWA website, find out about the mission, about native plants. These are really like sort of the top topical items that residents are really wanting information about. And so we wanted to make it easy for you to cut and paste and send that stuff out. And Whitney just gave us a really great overview of the water conservation program. It really is a way for you all to earn rebates on water usage fees. And so here, anytime, you want to go in and find out more information about the program, you can just click that link. And it'll go to the NFBWA website and give you all the information about what you need to do to join the program and what sort of stipulations there are about participating. So basically the things that Whitney covered today are all on that website in case you forget or you want to remind yourself a little bit later in the year. So now we're going to talk about website copy. We heard from you all that you felt like your websites were the most reliable way for reaching larger audiences, particularly because of the wide age range of the residents. And so we wanted to give you some text that you can use on your website to help explain the NFBWA and what we do. And so in this section, you'll see the guidelines here, and you'll see guidelines in every section to just kind of let you know what's coming up and how to use the information within each section. So for this one, you'll see two different versions of website copy. One is long and one is short. The only thing we ask is that you just choose one. Pick, they basically have similar messages. It just depends on sort of, how long you want the message on your website to be about the NFBWA. But what we really want residents to understand is what the NFBWA's mission is: to provide water, to promote conservation, to educate the community, right? And so there's two different ways you can talk about that on your website here. Feel free to copy and paste, and those links are all clickable. And now for digital content. So we know that, some MUDs and cities have their own social media channels. Sometimes you send out electronic bills or other electronic newsletters. And so this section of digital content will give you graphics as well as copy to use for those digital communications that you have. So here, the first one is some content that you could use, again, so on any digital channel, whether it's a newsletter, social media, email, website. It's just general information about the NFBWA, a link to the NFBWA's About page, and an image there for you to use as well. And all of these images will be compiled in a folder that you can click, and you can download them at any time you want to use them. This next one here is with our lovely Whitney, talking about the water force and why it's important for the NFBWA to have sort of be a community resource for everyone. And so this is, one of the sort of branding decisions that the NFBWA has made is to make sure that they're more approachable for residents, that residents understand that there's people behind the authority. And so this is really a good way to humanize the NFBWA if you want to share this on your website or in your communications. And the big question that we get a lot is about infrastructure. People are always wondering why you spend so much money on infrastructure, why is it needed? And so we wanted to make sure you had a message that spoke to that. So this is really talking about the growth of the area, why it's important to make sure that the infrastructure is up to date and continues to grow to meet the growing demands of folks coming to the area. So again, this is copy that you can use. There's hashtag there that you can use and the graphic for you all. And then Wise Guys. I know it's been a pretty hot summer and Wise Guys appointments are up, which is good. We want them to we want to make sure that the demand stays, pretty consistent throughout all of the months, because we know that these are sort of like really impactful for residents to understand their own water usage and how to save water and money. And so if you want to post about Wise Guys, we welcome it. That link there takes them straight to the website for Wise Guys, on the NFBWA website. We have a couple hashtags here for you. And then as you see here, like the graphic here is sort of reinforcing that message that residents can save water and save money by inspecting their sprinklers. Same thing for Water My Yard, right? People really, we have found tend to overwater because they're not really sure how much water is needed. And so one of the things that Whitney's always educating folks on, and it's like, how much water do you really need? And so we want more people to download the Water My Yard app so that they can really take the guesswork out of that and be able to do that at home. So this is something great for you to share with your residents who are, again, trying to like really understand and monitor their water usage. And these graphics and copy are ready to go. And then there's bill inserts. So yeah, we know some folks send out paper bills, and these are downloadable or able to be printed in your paper bills as well as any electronic bills. If you want to order physical inserts, you can also contact us and we can get those out to you. But we'll go ahead and go to the next slide. First one here is, the upgrade program, the rebate upgrade program. And this one, we've been having a really good response to this on social media recently, because a lot of people just didn't realize that they could get rebates on things that they were already planning to buy. And so we really want to get the word out. This really builds a lot of goodwill between water providers and their residents when you share this kind of information with them. It's something that is like a win for everybody. And so feel free to use that bill insert image. Again, we can also provide you printed ones, and then here's the copy for you to use with that. And same thing for Wise Guides. It's good to sort of insert that into bills at sort of timely points in the year, and especially before the summer starts. It'd be good to like sort of folks to get a head start on getting those Wise Guides appointments, so that they're not waiting till that first like hot summer bill hits. They're already like being a little bit more proactive about that. And so this will be a great way for you all to share with those residents to make sure that they can sign up for a sprinkler system evaluation. And part of our role is public outreach. We want to help you speak to the community. And so this section is really going to go over sort of what the NFBWA is, what we do, and really give you some answers to those questions that you can feel prepared for when residents ask you the tough questions. So our first slide here, you can download some talking points that we've prepared. So we know, like, obviously, like folks are going to ask you about fees, but subsidence is becoming something that people are more aware of because they hear the ground could be sinking. They don't really know what that means. And we heard from MUD directors and consultants that it's really hard to explain because it's such a complex topic. So these talking points sort of take those big topics and boil them down to 1 or 2 sentences that you can share with the residents. And then if they want more information, you can send them directly to the NFBWA website. And our learning lab, which is a great way, like we really encourage folks to, request learning lab to go to community events, to HOA events. It's a great way to sort of get that water message in front of folks. Kids love it. It's very interactive. There's moving maps and simulators and educational videos. And so if you're finding that your community members are a little bit confused about the NFBWA, inviting the learning lab is a great way to sort of introduce the NFBWA to them. And then so our last page here is just a contact page. And so we know that you guys are not going to be able to answer every question about the NFBWA, and we don't expect you to be able to do that. And so sometimes there's going to be residents that have questions that you can't answer. And when that happens, this link right here goes straight to the NFBWA's contact page. Those emails are answered by the NFBWA. And so if you get in a situation where just the question's a little bit too complex or the topic is a little bit out of the scope of what you feel comfortable answering, send them to that contact page and we can get back to them.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you so much. And if y'all have any questions about the toolkit, we'll be around after this for Q&A. And I'm just going to keep this right on moving. And we have Mr. Richard Stolai here, Fort Bryan County MUD number 146. I'll let him introduce the rest of his credentials and let us know about how MUD 146 has been doing. Here we go. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Whitney. I'll try to be relatively brief. What Whitney came to me and said, you guys are doing something completely different than anybody else. And I want you to talk about it because I've kind of been the Pied Piper of this program, I guess you would say. It got me excited, and it's something that we're doing. We're in the middle of, we're working on. We'll see how it comes out at the end, but we're on a different road. So Whitney, do I have can you move the slide? There you go. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about Flume and our rebate program. I'm not going to try to sell you Flume, but I can't help but get excited about it. I want to tell you a little bit about our water conservation efforts, a little bit about Flume, and then the real motive here is to help you with your call for action. So next slide, Whitney, please. Our committee, we appointed that right away when it came out as a requirement. Bob Roush, who's on the line with us, is a community member. TJ Cobb, one of our longtime board members, has been with us. You'll have to excuse me if the lightning scares you or the thunder. I'm in Rosenberg and it's raining good here. Myself as a member, and then our EDP operator, Wendy Duncan, is on the line with us. Wendy is currently working with us on our program. Before I went into Flume, I wanted to tell you a little bit more about what we've been doing with conservation and North Fort Bend. A little bit of a shout out to them. We were going to do a wastewater treatment plant expansion several years back. And so we worked with North Fort Bend to add filtration, added storage on site. And since then, we've extended a distribution system for water reclamation to distribute that water out to our green spaces. We have a pretty substantial green space in Oyster Creek, and we're not quite there, but the heads have been changed, and just any day now we'll start irrigating with reclaimed water. So I'm really excited about that. It's been quite a journey to get here, and we're not the only ones doing it, but that's the enthusiasm that 146 has towards trying to save water and promote good use of water. Next slide, please. So I want to tell you first a little bit about what is Flume, what got me going. It's basically that gray device that you see on the screen. It attaches to your meter. It's got a couple of real nice straps that you basically strap it on the side of the meter. I call it the poor man's smart meter because doesn't require the infrastructure that smart meters require, and it gives you actually more information. So it records what the meter's doing. It basically picks up the movement of the meter, the magnets that are in your meter. You style it, you connect it based on the type of meter you have. They've got an automated process. They've got over 100,000 of these in the ground around the United States, and some 15,000 or so in the state of Texas. But it gives you minute by minute information. Once it figures out and registers, real simple process. You can get all that information on your cell phone. I can get it on my computer here at work or at home, tablet, where if I'm in McKinney with the grandkids, I got it, whatever. It allows you to set alarms for your style. And so water conservation is an issue. Bob Roush told me the other day that you know, this is really a great deal for him. He left the water running, didn't realize it. It notified him that he had water running for an extended period of time. He went and found it, turned it off. That's the kind of things that it does. It will notify you of water use at any time when you set a threshold. Next slide. And when I first put it in place, I'm looking at my irrigation system and then looking at Flume and realized one of my stations was running when it wasn't supposed to. It was running it, and it was an extra time. So I was wasting several hundred gallons every time it ran. So the rebate program was worked out with Flume. They're using this same model in 50 or so different jurisdictions around, and we're the first one here. The resident purchases the meter at a reduced rate. They pay $99 plus shipping and handling. The district pays $100, which, if you've been following the residential rebates, what happens with that is if somebody buys a water saving device, a dishwasher, whatever, submits their bill, they can get up to $100 rebated through their water bill. This flows a little differently, but the same result. For everybody that gets involved, the district puts $100 into it. Resident installs it. It's really pretty simple. There's a lot of support from Flume. I went down and dug out my meter box for my neighbor who decided to try to do it, but it's not that hard. So it's easy to do. once the flume is connected, then actually it shows up on a dashboard that the district has ability to view, and the resident gets another $25 back. So at the end of the day, I think Bob said his cost was about $84, and it's already saved him water. So through this program, we're able to save folks water and give them more awareness. They know where their water is getting used. You tend to turn it back a little bit. Next slide, please. So I want to tell you about our project, and I can't take credit for coming up with this program. One of my neighbors had a very large water leak, and thanks to Lisa, she started looking around. How can I, because it snuck up on her, how can I monitor what's going on? And she found flume, and she told me about it. And I'm a civil engineer, so forgive me, I'm a little geeky about this. But you know, I took that opportunity that just stumbled into my life and said, let me look into it. So we developed the idea. I did a little research. Like I said, I bought one myself. Within 2 days, my wife had realized that she might want to consolidate some of her washing loads that she was washing of clothes because she realized how much she was using in each one. I mentioned earlier, I found that my irrigation system was running one extra time when it wasn't supposed to. Little things like that give you the opportunity to save water. So I went to the district committee. We had just appointed our committee, just gotten it together, just getting started. And we discussed it. Everybody bought into it, thought it was worth a try. So then did a little more research, and Whitney helped. We connected up with the Flume folks in California, SAWS, which is San Antonio Water System. She had contacts over there. We talked about what they had done, some of the pitfalls, some of the good things that have occurred. And then once we'd gotten to that point, then she went to the North Fort Bend committee and said, here's what 146 is looking at. If they take this on and do a program like this, what kind of credit can we give them? Because we're not on the list. You know, the list of smart meters or all those other things. This was something unique, and that's what tweaked her interest and why she wanted me to come talk to y'all. So then we initiated the program. We went to the board, got approval, entered into agreements with Flume on how they handle the paperwork and how we pay them. Then we started immediately with articles. District webpage, we've got article posted, which we'll be refreshing. The Longmeadow Farms newsletter was just about to go out, so Bob helped us get an article in there and worked with them. Their annual meeting, we showed up, we talked to them. The North Fort Bend Learning Center trailer was there as well. Talked a little bit. I still had a few people go, yeah, you know, you told us about that. That sounds pretty neat. The hard part's getting people, you know, motivated. But we've sent text messages, we've sent emails through our notification system. We'll be coming back around to do that in the near future. We're doing bill stuffers right now. We've got the next bill that goes out. We'll have a stuffer in there to remind them of it. And then there's more that we're working on, and we're actually working on a little video that hopefully will. There you go. That will bring a little more interest. Did y'all see that little flash of lightning too? So let's go to the next slide. So that's what's happened with us. I think the motive here of us talking about it is it's an example. It's not the way yours will be, but hopefully something comes into your life that gives you the opportunity. So I think the District Water Conservation Committee was already mentioned. Get that in place, you know, work on raising awareness of your water use. The Flume tells you by the minute how much water you're using at your house, and you know, earn rebates, promote that, you know, do the upgrades to your irrigation system. I bought a ratio just recently and have been very pleased. It keeps telling me that it's raining and it doesn't need to water. I've saved thousands and thousands of gallons, which I would have done it manually, but now it's easier. So find an idea, you know, don't just look at the list of what the district wants. I think that's what they want to encourage is for everyone to look at what you know. And if you see something, as I put it here, find your flume. You know, it's not going to be flume, but it'll be something else. And engage with the committee and work with your board and the Fort Bend Water Authority. And, you know, in my case, I got lucky. So hopefully you guys will get lucky. Go start a program. That's all I got to say right now.
Thank you so much, Richard. The story makes me so happy. Because, you know, in a year, we'll all be sitting here and everyone's going to have their own ideas and we'll share everything and it'll be wonderful. Manifest it. Next, we have Missy Stedman, who again has a lot of titles. And I'm going to let her tell you who she is, and she's going to talk about her experience as an operator.
Hi. So I am a senior account manager with Infomark, and I manage 10 districts. Of those 10 districts, 8 of them are in the North Fort Bend Water Authority. And of the 8, all 8 have signed to participate in the water conservation program. What? So with that being said, let's just get into this. Yeah, so my initial response from going from Larry's toolbox to this new program was, oh no. I mean, I literally panicked because I felt like I just got used to it. I knew what I was doing. I kind of had an outline of how I was going to set up the year. And then it's different, or is it? So what is the same? You know, what's the same? The high water users letters, we were already doing those. Okay, we can do that. The bill messages, okay, we can do that. You know, the rebates, the water, the Wise Guys program, okay. So, but what changed? This synergistic opportunity that we have to work with our communities. So the MUD, the North Fort Bend Water Authority, the operator, and then your HOAs or your, you know, your MUD community, city community, working together. So my next thought was, how will I stay organized? So well, I had to come up with the plan, right? So yes. So first I had to understand the program. What was different? So I reviewed the documents. They came out with this badge flyer, and which I loved because it was simple. It took a multi-page document, right, and simplified it into one page that I could attach to my operations reports, and I could start kind of letting the boards know what's coming. Okay. And we knew that we kind of were working towards this May 1st deadline. And so again, we wanted to note the deadlines. What are the deadlines in there? And so we needed to, you know, let Whitney know how many bill inserts we needed and those types of things. And so I needed those dates all in one document that I could track. And every district is different, right? We always talk about, if you've been to one board meeting, you've been to one board meeting. They're all different, but also the sizes of those districts are different. The fact that you may be in a master plan community, you might not be, right? So how I had to create a tracking method. So here's what I did. So I created a worksheet, and this is just the top snippet of it. And I was able to then outline taking that badge flyer and saying, okay, here's the details. Here is what I'm going to do, right? So things that were in blue, I handled. However, I wanted the board to understand exactly what their participation role was. And so I put all of their participation things in red. And so, because I wanted it to be, you know, upfront. So what is their commitment? Because I really needed 2 board members and a community member. I also had them talking about, hey, I really need a community liaison. Who is that going to be, right? What are, you know, what's the expectations for that community liaison? How many times do they need to post to social media? How many times is the
I'll give Missy a second and see if she comes back. How about this? Richard, can you hear me? All right, I'm going to ask you a question until Missy comes right back. That came from our chat.
Yeah, I see them.
Okay, and I can tell you when she's back.
So I'll run down the list. John Campbell, the ones I see, and if I miss something, let me know. John Campbell, there is not a subscription cost anymore. There was if you wanted to do their elite program or something, but now they recognize that people don't like that, and so they've done away with it. We have about 1,600 residents, and we've got somewhere around 60 folks that are participating in the program. We've been in the start of it, and we started this 2 months ago, a month and a half ago. Plume has indicated that 3-5% is about what they see in a lot of their jurisdictions, unless there's some other encouragement. So it's a little less than I'm hoping for, which is why I mentioned we're doing a video. We're going to continue to press. When people call, we're asking our operator to be sure and let them know that, hey, if they're calling about high water use, here's an option to help you kind of keep tabs on it. There, Missy's back now. She's moving around, so you want to let her pick up, Wendy, where she was with?
Yes, sir.
Whitney?
Thank you.
Okay.
And that's what I call good teamwork, when your computer just dies with no warning. Okay, so we also needed to look at, as far as, what is the district availability, right? Do they have a website? Do they have mass communication, something like from one of the companies, Touchstone or Offcinco or whoever, Blackboard, that could email or send a text message? And then what's the social media like out within the community? I found that so many of the neighborhoods have neighborhood groups, right? So we needed to find that one person that could just simply, that was already invested in their community, and they were kind of your voice of reason, right? That could handle that content. In some cases, it was somebody from an HOA management company. So they can update the HOA website for us. So that way we were able to really, find out what are our options and then come up with a plan. So next slide. All right, so the role of the operator, what do I have to do, right? Because I mean, keep in mind, I got 8 districts that I got to manage this. So what do I have to do? So I set up a calendar, and literally I set up a like on my calendar on the 1st of every month. I said, okay, this is the message that I want to put on all the bills. This is the graphic and the message that I want to get out to the community liaison. This is the message that I want to send for text messages, whatever, right? When are we going to do the bill inserts? Remember, you have to have the bill insert qualification. So I just created a calendar, literally created, and it's on there. And then that way I can double check at any time, and I could go back and like for my next message will be October 1st. For October 1st, I can go to one location, find my message, find my graphic, and I can do it, sit down and do it all at one time. Okay. I do handle the monthly update for the district websites, and then I send out the outreach message to the community liaison. And I kind of give them a gentle reminder that says, hey, when you get finished doing that, can you send me a screenshot? Or if it's the website, well, obviously I can go get the screenshot myself. But this way, I know that they're doing it. And then at the end of the month, if I haven't heard back from them, I'm going to give them a little nudge, right? Everybody's been great to help with that. Make sure that the high water user letters. All right, so let's talk about this. So the committee is responsible for setting up the high water users, the gallons or the percentage, right? What, like she said, what do you want to, who do you want to reach? So we did a 12-month meter usage evaluation just of residential for 2021, and most districts that I help with, we're only reaching 1% of their customers. 1%. Now, mind you, when we were going into this, I didn't realize we were going to go into a drought summer versus a rainy summer last year. And so we are hitting a few more customers than maybe we might have expected to, but we could tweak that if we needed to, right? We wanted to get those numbers up. And why? Because what is on that high water user letter? Well, it helps that it is going to funnel people into your residential irrigation evaluation. It's going to funnel people into your conservation rebates. And if you have a smart meter district, we've added a paragraph that said, hey, did you know you have this, in our case, Ion Water, that you could set up an Ion Water account and get leak alerts. And so I knew that I wanted to grow that number, right, by a minimum of 5% in participation. All right, so again, tracking, what does that look like? Because all of those participations had different percentages. And I was like, I'm going to lose my mind. So back to my worksheet, I can then, plug in the number of residential accounts and it tells me how many I need. And then as, Whitney sends out updates for the irrigation evaluations, or I get the rebate emails to apply those rebates on the bills, I can update that spreadsheet. And then on the smart meter portals, I can go in and look at my users and what are the growth. So all of a sudden, this worksheet that I talked about earlier now becomes my committee update. What? Like generally, okay, so we can tweak it. If we can see that we're sending out, 25% of our customers are now getting letters for high water users, well, maybe we need to back that off because it's a drought year. Okay, so we can tweak that as we go and not have to worry. But I did want to track it. So keep going. All right, so you've done, you kind of chosen your pick 3, right? Let's say you're not going for one of the larger programs, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I don't know whether I'm going to make it. I'm not going to make I'm only going to hit 2. I need 3. So we've already started evaluating that. Okay, community events. So the first thing we want to do is we want to reserve that mobile learning lab. Okay, because I want that trailer there. It's something very visual. I'm going to work with the HOA. So here we go. Evaluate locations within your district that can host an event. Okay, and in some cases, if you're part of a master plan community, maybe you have more than one district that can participate. Okay, so you can have a central location, and therefore the trailer only has to come out once instead of 12 different times, right? So, and we can all host it and work together to where it's a larger community event. I'm going to give a shout out to Cinco Ranch Southwest districts. They were able, one of the committee members, one of the board members said, hey, we have a monthly food truck night. What? Well, I want in on that. Yeah, it's the third Friday of, every month through October. Yeah. So we were able to work with the authority, find out when the lab trailer was available, and we could get that scheduled. And then those MUDs have now approved us to be able to do giveaways for people going through the trailers. We can have them enter into a drawing for a smart meter, not a smart meter, a irrigation smart user controller. Controller is the word I was looking for. So we have 5 of those to give away this month. 5, it was September. And so we're excited about that. We were able to work with that HOA. Guess what? The HOA already sends out updates for the food truck event. We get to just tag along. Okay, so look to see. And I'm going to put a bug in your ear because National Night Out is coming in October. And of course, the trailer can't be at every location for National Night Out, but I wonder if she's already got it booked, right? So that's usually the first, in Texas, it's the first Tuesday in October. Is your HOA already doing something? She said, no, she's not busy. But is your HOA, because here's the deal, even if the mobile learning trailer is not available, your committee can maybe come together and figure out what to do. Okay. So, and work with your area districts on your sister districts. Okay. So set up those community events. All right. So what did we do? We created a plan. We helped to understand the program and the expectations. And you know what we realized? It's not that hard. It's just not that hard. And then we helped create a synergistic message within our community. And I can tell you that the reason why the rise of evaluations and rebates is up is because our message is getting out to the community in different ways. So many people don't open their water bill, but they do get on social media, or vice versa, right? They always open their water bill, but they never get on social media. And now we're able to touch new customers. And then most importantly, go earn your rebate. That's what we're all doing this for in the first place, right? It's just that bonus at the end that we can work, for our community and still save some money. Saving water and money, everybody wins. All right, that's all I got. Apologize for the interruption.
That was great. Thank you. Thank all of you so much. So what I'm going to do now, I have a lot of questions I've seen come through, and we're going to do Q&A. So if Richard, Missy, Joy, Sandra want to unmute, Joya, you can if you want. We'll go ahead and ask. So I'm just going to throw out the first couple. We had Leon asked if there's a rebate for MUDs that are converting to the electronic meters. Yes, that was part of one of the big initiatives. If your district hasn't started the thought of actually budgeting going through, because we know it takes a while.
Yeah, I'm in a meeting. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Yeah, that is part of a big initiative, because ultimately it is water conservation. So yes, and again, and if that wasn't one of the initiatives, come to us about it. See if it can be, just like Richard brought his Excel awesomeness with Flume, and excited. That's what we want. We want to see innovation. I had Jack, saw that you asked about getting monthly updates. Yes, as part of this program, if you request it, so if you want to send a reminder once a month, we used to send it to everyone, but now we have a lot of people who have Wise Guys, but they're not in the program. They don't want to know. So what we're doing again is putting more in the districts, and if you're participating in it, in their hands. So reach out to me monthly, and I know that your operator does monthly, and us send over a one cheater. So ask. That's what we're here for. And Richard, had you answered all the questions that you had?
No, Jack asked a question about whether we have an operator install the Flume. We've had discussions. We haven't had that instance where we needed to yet. It's the work's done by the individual, someone in their household. The little bit tricky part to it, I guess, as far as the district is, this connects to your Wi-Fi. They have a bridge that would connect the Flume unit from the Flume unit to the bridge to your Wi-Fi. And so, you've got to work inside the house as well as outside the house. But I'll tell you, we've had that conversation with the operator, and it's like, well, let's see where it goes. So far, we haven't had the request, but like I said earlier, I went down and helped my neighbor. He's not as able as I am, so I went down and helped him, and Bob is probably ready to jump in and help. So when that comes up, we're going to be there to try to help folks. But right now it falls on the individual resident or someone in their family. The other question was from Patrick Carlson, and Patrick asked about meters. We've got a variety. My particular meter is a Badger, but Flume has you take a picture of the meter and it identifies it and can tell you whether or not it's compatible or not. They're not compatible with all meters, but most of the positive displacement mag meters like we have traditionally used, many of those are included. Some of the newer electronic ones are not compatible at this time, though I'm bugging them about it and telling them they need to get on board. I think that's all the questions directed to me, Wendy. I mean, Whitney, excuse me. Wendy on?
Yes, and I actually got a question that's off topic, and I will leave you all with that, but you're gonna want to stick around for it. So anything else right now? I'm not sure if Richard can hang around to talk flume afterwards.
Yeah.
If you can, okay, so we can save some more flume stuff for the end. So now, if there's anyone out there, directors, or if you have questions for what Missy shared or Joy, or anyone wants to share something cool they're doing this year or ideas, because that's what hopefully these are going to become. It's like, hey, they're doing this. What can we, thought provoking.
It looks like Clay has his hand raised.
Clay, yeah, it's been raised for a while. Is that on purpose?
Yeah, I had a question for Richard, I believe. On the Flume devices, is there a customer portal or a portal available that the operator can view, or is it for customers only? And I apologize if this was addressed. I had to switch to my phone and had a couple of glitches.
No problem. If you do Flume and you're not in our program, if you're not in our district, then the information that you get comes directly from Flume. As a district, I mentioned connecting to the dashboard, but I just blew past it. We basically, everyone that agrees to the rebate program agrees to allow us access to that data. So, in a perfect world, everybody that's out there would have a Flume device. And when they called in, the operator could pull up and look and say, well, did you, and actually the Flume will send the operator the same messages that it would send you about excessive water use and things like that. So yes, the district has access, and that's one of the benefits of us participating in the program. Does that answer your question, Clay?
I believe so. Thank you.
Okay. There was a couple other questions about Flume. How secure is the installation? Well, the good news is the Flume's not if someone reaches in your meter box and carries it off, it's not going to work anywhere else. Each one of them are coded and connected to Flume, so they know who it belongs to. If someone tries to carry it off, they don't have the bridge, which is inside your house, and so it's really worthless to anybody. So I haven't heard of it. I asked that question, and there's not been any cases where people went and stole the Flume out of the box. So it doesn't have any real any significant value. Is there the overall rebate program? How does the individual benefit when the district fulfills the requirement of the program? Do they say, well, yes, they do save the 10 cents. We factor that into our budgeting process. So the individual doesn't, but the district as a whole benefits from us participating in the program. We also, by participating, we get the 10 cents comes into our budget. That's factored into our annual budget. So I would say indirectly, yes, not directly.
Yes, this is Julia Frankovich with BGE, and to kind of explain that a little bit. So the Northport Bend doesn't dictate how a MUD or a city has to pass on the Northport Bend fee to residents. And just like that, the credit that's issued to the MUD or city for completing the program successfully is the same way. So that is issued to the district and credited to the district, and then the district can choose how they want to pass that credit along to their residents. So if you want to give that directly to your residents, you are more than welcome to. If you want to take that money and invest it in something else that's going to benefit your residents, you can also do that.
Thank you.
And Whitney, there was one more question about providing the video of the meeting.
Yes.
And then the web content.
Correct. So it is currently on our website, the whole water provider toolkit. If I will send an email to everyone who has attended this with the link to the presentation, as well as the link. It's basically on our homepage. If you go to For Providers on the top, there's a whole section on communicating to your residents, and that's where the toolkit is. But I will send that to y'all. I am hopeful within the morning. And that, and then we have any last thoughts before I say thank you and leave y'all with the last note? Okay, y'all ready? In my hand, and thank you all for coming. Notice of preliminary rates. This was announced at the board meeting last week, and this is going in the mail. We have all the copies right here. There is no change to the current groundwater reduction plan fee or the surface water fee for 2023. And ultimately, it states, while fee increases may be necessary in future years, the Board of Directors' long-term planning, it's been sustainable management of its significant infrastructure costs. So basically, we are pleased to provide this notice of no anticipated fee increases in 2023, and would like to thank all of you for remaining strong partners while the community combats subsidence. That's the closing note. Expect this in the mail. See it at your next board meeting. So thank you all so much for coming, and we'll send you updates. And come anytime with ideas, anything you're thinking, we'll find a way to make it work, hopefully. All right, thanks.
Thank you.